By now, you've probably heard my Magic Wand story. It's a brand that's been part of my personal journey for more than 20 years. But no matter how many times I sing Magic Wand's praises, I'll never be able to fully capture the story of this incredible brand. Well, now journalist and author Kate Sloan just completed a limited audio series documenting the history and impact that Magic Wand has created over the last 56 years. It's called Making Magic. And the series chronicles Magic Wand's incredible brand story through interviews with nearly 40 experts, performers, business owners, educators, and fans. So I got a sneak preview of this series, and what I loved is that Kate weaves together snippets from all their interviews into this amazing story arc. She covers Magic Wand's journey from appliance store massager to its legendary influence on culture and sexual independence, and it's all just fascinating. The first episodes of Making Magic are available now at makingmagicseries.com or on all popular podcast platforms. Just search for Making Magic or visit makingmagicseries.com today. Thanks for listening to Sex with Emily. On today's show, I'm joined by founder of Booty Parlor Dana Myers to talk about her new book, The Mommy Mojo Makeover, and how moms and women in general can reconnect to their sexual selves. Topics include finding the sexy in your everyday life, and that includes gently fondling cucumbers. Ways to reduce resentment because it's the secret toxic relationship killer. What to do when your sex toy surprise backfires, and how to get the spark back when you've tried everything from sexy photos to spontaneous foreplay. All this and more. Thanks for listening.
Look into his eyes. They're the eyes of a man obsessed by sex. Eyes that mock our sacred institutions. Bedroom eyes, they call them in a bygone day.
Hey, Emily. You got a boyfriend? Because my man E here, he just got his heart broken. He thinks you're kind of cute.
A girl's gotta have her standards. Oh my.
Do women know about shrinkage?
Isn't it common knowledge?
What do you mean, like laundry? It shrinks?
Can we not talk about sex so much?
Are you kidding me?
Oh my God, it feels so good.
Being bad feels pretty good. But you know, Emily's not the kind of girl you just play with.
You're listening to Sex with Emily. We're talking about sex, relationships, and everything in between. For more information, check out sexwithemily.com. Follow us on all social media because that's always fun. It's at Sex with Emily across the board. Happy Masturbation Month. It's a big month, you guys. It is my favorite month of the year. So we're having a contest, as we do. And for this contest, I want you guys to answer, how has masturbation benefited your life and specifically your sex life? What has it done for you? What have been the perks of having a masturbation practice? Email me feedback@sexwithemily.com by June 7th to enter. We're going to give some sexy prizes per usual. And we love the details. Like, I love hearing your stories. I could read your stories all day long, but it helps if you keep it on the shorter side. You know what that means. You'll know. If you think it's too long, it's probably a smidge too long. We appreciate the editing, and I appreciate all of you. And I appreciate my guest. I'm so excited to see Dana Myers here in the house.
Hey.
Hi, Dana.
I'm so excited to be here, Emily.
This is so fun.
This is like a long time in the making. Mm-hmm. We've known each other for like 13 years.
Yep.
And we haven't seen each other for 7.
That's what it is. I think
it's 7 years, maybe 8 years, something like that. So I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, you look amazing.
Thank you.
You are amazing. You continue
Thank you.
to inspire me. So I first met Dana. You guys know I go to all these really fun trade shows of pleasure products, sex toys. And Dana has the coolest line of products called Booty Parlor.
Thank you.
And it's, how do you explain Booty Parlor? 'Cause that's
Yeah, Booty Parlor is like the beauty parlor for your love life. So it's sensual cosmetics that kind of make you feel beautiful and attractive and turned on. And then we have romantic treats. So once you're feeling sexy, then you can go and use our massage oils and kissable body toppings to create sexier experiences.
Right. And they're really, you guys gotta check out those. But we are
They're
not
gorgeous.
They're gorgeous and they're amazing. And they're like all that sexy, shimmery stuff that you want when you are feeling sexy, which hopefully is all the time. Dana's here to help remind us how to feel sexy because Dana, since I've seen you, she's become a mom.
Twice
become a mom. Twice a mom. And she just wrote an awesome book that is going to, I promise you, it's going to inspire and benefit so many people. Like, I want to send one to every mom I know. And it's called
The Mommy Mojo Makeover, 28 tools to reclaim yourself and reignite your sensuality. Reignite your relationship.
Reignite your relationship, yeah.
Wah, wah.
Right. So it's just coming out now. So we're just getting the title down. But what I love about this is that the mission of the Mommy Makeover is like how moms can feel like sexy again and in their bodies and want to desire sex, get their libido back. And you've got great tips and tools and exercises for moms. So tell your story about how you came out writing this book, how you came from Booty Parlor to writing this book about being sexy.
Yeah, I was the founder of
again.
this sexy brand. I was doing sexy workshops for celebrities and representing this amazing product. And I was feeling really sexy in my life. I always have. Like, sex is an outlet for me for expression and pleasure. And then
she's like a walking sexy woman here. Like you see her, you're like, yes, you make sexy things and talk sex.
Well, it powers me, right? Like sexuality and orgasms are the rocket fuel that power me through life in all areas of my life. But when I had kids, I lost it. I lost part of myself, my identity. I felt like my sexuality was on pause. And that was really confusing to me because I had never, ever felt this kind of loss of libido, this disconnection to that part of myself.
Right.
And along with that and the loss of personal freedom, I started being really resentful of my husband and just not being inspired by sex anymore. So I thought, well, this can't be. Like, I'm the founder of Booty Parlor. This can't happen to me. And actually, one day I was pumping and getting ready to go on a
breast pumping, not
breast
pumping iron,
not penis pumping,
right.
or
that's another topic for another show.
Anyhow, I had 10 minutes before I was going to get on this video conference. I was trying to do a million things. I was trying to feel sexy, look sexy and present this image that I wasn't feeling. And I put on my pump and I forgot to put the bottles on. And so I just started dripping all over my own body. And I thought, this is enough. Like, I cannot be distracted, pulled in a million directions, not in touch with myself, not in touch with my sensuality. Right. And so that was this moment where I kind of drew the line in the sand. And I picked up my first book, which is The Mojo Makeover.
Okay.
And I started rereading the exercises that I had written. And I started practicing them through a mother's eyes, right? And with my new schedule and all these different things I was experiencing. And just every day, I started doing something to reclaim my sensuality. I started masturbating again. I started scheduling sex. I started going wild with my girlfriends. I started doing all of these things to rebuild my mojo.
Right. All the things that you knew that you intellectually should do, that you'd been teaching others to do.
That's right.
And probably thought, like you say in the opening of your book, which I love, you're like, I never thought that would be me. Like, I'll be the mom who I won't lose my libido like every other mom. Like, I won't be too tired for sex. I'll always feel sexy because I'm Dana Myers.
So naive.
Right. Well, right. Because we're
So
super
naive.
women. And you're like, wah, wah. But luckily you have the tools to kind of be like, oh, I know what's possible.
Yeah.
And you had already written the book about it.
And I just made a practice of it. And then I started sharing it with the women in my Mommy and Me group. And then I started workshopping it. And I thought, this works. And if you make it a practice, and you kind of look for yourself again as a sensual woman, and then you bring that into your relationship, I feel like there's this idea around motherhood and sex that like the sexiest years are over once you have kids.
Yeah.
And I want to blow the lid off those preconceptions.
Same.
And just
I get it.
I want mothers to feel a sense of sexual entitlement.
Right. Like, I deserve pleasure.
I deserve pleasure. And no matter how busy I am or how stretched I am, pleasure should come first so that I can then continue giving to everyone else around me.
Because that's your fuel.
Totally.
It's not the being the giver, the pleaser, the mom.
No.
How do you explain to women like to masturbate, to make that time that they actually, that will be filling you up in ways that nothing else will by actually making time to masturbate and self-pleasuring? Can we start there? Because
let's start
I want to
there.
hear your
Okay,
practices.
so top line, I'm a really organized person. I'm very organized with my work. I'm very organized with my home life. And so I take that same approach to my sex life. And so every Sunday night, I sit down and I do what I call mojo mapping and sex planning. And I look at my week and I go, okay, I'm going to masturbate on Tuesday morning because I know that I'm going to have the house to myself. And then on Thursday night, I'll be like, okay, we've got a sitter. She can take the kids for ice cream. That's going to give us an hour alone in the house. And I pencil it in. We're going to have great creative sex for half an hour. And then we're going to chill for half an hour.
So does your husband know this?
Okay.
Do you guys share a Google Cal that's like playful sexy night, role play, I'll be the cop.
So I do I tell him about 50% of the time, because if I told him every time I planned it, I think he would think it was too staged, and he might think that I was seeing it as a chore that I had to pencil in, which it's not. I just consider it
disorganized.
This is me making it a priority because I love him and I love us and I love that sexual connection. So to me, it's not a chore; it's a priority.
Right.
And I tell the same for women. Like, if you tell me you don't have time to masturbate, I will ask you to take one day and clock how much time you are wasting on Facebook. Just clock it.
Right.
Just clock it.
Right.
And how much time you're numbing out scrolling through other people's lives.
Instagram or Facebook. I agree.
And you know what? That's fun. It's fine. It's healthy to, get that window into other people's lives, but take 15 minutes.
Literally those 15 minutes could
it.
be on your masturbation time.
That's it. Once or twice a week, and create a ritual out of it. So I have a masturbation playlist. I get my coconut oil out. I dance. I rub my body with coconut oil. I lay out my toys. So they're like my little lovers. I'm like, oh, hi there. And I'm like, who am I going to play with today? And I
love it.
I might watch a little porn. I might read a little erotica, and I really make it a date with myself.
Right.
But it only takes 15 minutes. Because once you get going,
yeah,
and you got a
literally.
good vibe, it's like,
It's
you're there.
true. And then let's talk about the benefits of how you feel after that. Like, why? Why is this important?
Well, it's so important because it relieves stress. It tunes me into myself. I think it's the best way to build body confidence, whether you've had a baby or not. I think women, we're all hard on our bodies.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're in tune with your body, if you know how to give yourself pleasure, it's almost impossible to hate on yourself in that moment.
Right. In that moment, you love your body. You are in love. You are loving yourself.
So you're creating that muscle memory so that later on when you're like, oh, my thighs, oh, why are you so big? You start to train yourself to be like, wait a second, I remember pleasuring myself this morning and how good I felt about my body in the morning. So you start to become better to your body and yourself all throughout the day. It takes time to build that connection.
Right.
But I do think that masturbating helps you love your body more in and out of the bedroom. I always say that the way you perceive your sexuality is the way you perceive your life. So if you feel comfortable to pleasure yourself, you're going to feel more comfortable and confident to trust your intuition in your daily life. If you feel free to moan and use your voice while you're making love or having an orgasm, you're going to feel more empowered to use your voice in a business meeting.
Right.
Or even just like, telling your kids what to do with a firm tone and not feeling bad about it.
Right.
So the way you know your body sexually, I think, is the way you know yourself in the world.
I love it. That's such good advice. And I love what you're saying about like the prioritization of it, because I think there's a lot of moms who are like, spend so much time scheduling, their kids' soccer practice and their dinners or their family plan or their vacation or the summer or the kids' camp. And they're like, why not just plan in the masturbation for 15 minutes?
Totally.
And I love thinking ahead, because if you think, I know I should do it, it's another item on your to-do list. And what I like about your book is that you give people tools. You have the plans, you have the worksheets they can fill out. Because I feel like if I don't plan anything, it won't happen, and then another week will go by, and even I have ClassPass. Do you guys have ClassPass?
Yes,
It's
of course. Yeah.
So it's where how I plan my workouts. I can go to, and now I've had it for 3 months. To be honest, didn't use it.
Okay.
Paid it every month.
Oh, no.
And I was like, oh, I get it. My workout's not just going to happen. It's so important to me.
Yep.
Almost, as important for me as masturbation.
Of course.
And I just realized I can plan a week ahead. There it is. I don't have to think about it.
That's right.
And I know this might seem to people like, no, but masturbation's going to have to just hit me in the moment. How's that going for you? Right,
How's
guys?
it going?
How's your
it going?
How's that been going for you? So I love this. I actually,
I
want
always
to do
say
it.
don't wait, create, right? Exactly like you just said. Don't wait for desire to smack you over the head. It's not going to happen. But if you create it, then you are integrating sensuality and sexuality into your life on the daily, into your mom routine. And whether you're a mom or not, we're all busy with work. We're trying to make it in the world, and make it a priority, do some planning around it, and then follow through.
I love it. Let's talk about though how things have changed since you've become a mom.
Yeah.
As far as your body and master, and did you Was there anything you had to do to get your body back? Were you doing Kegels? Were you doing...
Yeah. Okay.
Did sex change for you?
Yeah. Well, during my first pregnancy, I did Kegels like religiously. And I gave birth to Rocky naturally without an epidural, which was amazing. And I really wanted that to happen. And I'm so glad that it did happen. But I could feel... I was so connected to my muscles and pushing him out. It was like one of the best moments of my entire life, and I think will be forever. The control and the connection that I had to those muscles in bringing life into the world. So that was amazing. Afterwards...
Okay, we're talking...
Oh my God. Afterwards...
We'll start with the pros.
Yeah, okay,
Right.
so the pros...
Beautiful baby, felt connected, and...
Amazing. Afterwards, I had to wear like a panty liner when I was exercising for a long time. And I thought, oh, if I'm strong before and I'm strong during birth, then I'll be strong after. But no, I was still like not blown out. That's an exaggeration. But I was like, okay, there's pee coming out when I'm doing my P90X.
Right.
And that was not nice. That was not nice.
No.
But you just rebuild it.
You rebuild it with Kegels.
Rebuild it, and I used... Who was I using? I think I was using...
the balls.
the smart balls or, some kind of
Have you
nice...
tried the intensity in
No.
control by Pour Moi?
I haven't.
Amazing.
Now
I should have
use
them
the
send you one.
crystal yoni egg, which I love.
Oh, yeah. Those are great, too.
Loving that.
Okay, yeah.
And then with my daughter, I had to have a C-section because she was breech. And what was interesting about that is, on the one hand, it kind of connected me to the experience that so many women have, which is a C-section. But the healing was much different and much harder. And it caused me to kind of, I had some body confidence issues afterwards with my belly because there was a scar, and it was like, that was a bit of a shock to me.
Yeah.
So I just had to go back. There's a practice in the book called Reboot Your Body Confidence. And it's basically stop.
Tell us.
Yeah, it's like when you catch yourself shit talking, about your thighs or your belly or your breasts or your bum, you kind of catch yourself and you transform that negative body banter into what I call a sexy self-love affirmation. So it's kind of basic and it's kind of silly. And some women say, well, if I can't stand in the mirror and say, oh my God, thighs, you're so beautiful. I love you. You're so thick and juicy and amazing. Yes, it may feel false at first, but the more you tell yourself those things, you actually start to believe them. And you just create that connection with yourself. Who else? You got to love yourself.
If you don't
first.
love yourself, no one else is going to magically love you in the way of like loving your body. And I've told women to stand in front of the mirror, do these things, but I love that you have tools, like walk through the practices.
Yes.
It's part of it. And
Yes.
it really works.
It really works.
We're so hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
We are so hard. And you must hear this from your friends too. You must have been inspired. Probably a lot of mom friends were feeling a lot of the same things. And so I'm sure you're just like this like beacon of hope for all of them.
Yeah,
and inspiration and goddess energy for them too.
Yeah,
Being like, this is you guys. I've got my what'd you call your vibrators?
Oh, I don't know, my little lovers.
Your little lovers. Nothing wrong with that.
The other thing I think about that I want to mention about talking badly about yourself to yourself is that you don't notice that other people around you are hearing it. You kind of think you're just saying it in your mind, but oftentimes you're saying, ugh, I'm fat. You're like actually vocalizing these things.
Yeah.
And that encourages other people to be able to do that for themselves as well. And then your kids hear you do it.
So right.
And maybe your partner gives you a compliment and you immediately shut them down. He says, oh, you look great in that dress. And you say, no, I look fat. I still need to lose 5 pounds. And it's like, you miss the opportunity.
That makes my stomach.
Yeah, it's a bummer. You miss the opportunity to connect. You miss the opportunity to volley back with another compliment and create romance. So catch yourself before you wreck yourself.
This is right. And I see the book right. And you know what I love? Because I know you wrote your book. Initially, you wrote it, how many years ago?
I finished.
I mean, the first
first
Mojo
book came out 7 years ago.
Because I'm reading this going like we all need this women with our self talk, and I'm sitting here in my office because my staff, I try to flip it around too. I'm like, that's so dumb. I'm not stupid. I love myself.
Right.
You guys, I love myself and I love you. So I catch myself, but I do it in a funny way. Like,
yes.
I mean, not in a funny, but
no, and it can be funny.
Like, these pants are tight. No, I don't think I'm fat. You guys, I love my body. Like I do because I'm so conscious of it. But it's silly even. But it works because it's like
it does work.
No one's perfect. We all go through this as women, and guys, I just think, I don't know. They have their own self-hate, but they keep it inside. Yeah. Like this guy I was dating is like, he's like, I've got the same monologue, but you just externalize it and then you take it back.
Let it out.
We do.
Yeah.
So what about men though? Like how is your husband Or how can men support women in this journey, you think? Like about this negative stuff we do, or like supporting them in their, or can they? Do you think that women have to be the ones who are like, this is my masturbation time, do not come in, this is what I'm doing? How much is this a partner thing, and how much is this about women giving love to themselves?
Yeah, okay, so the book is like, that's a great question. The book is like 50% self-work and solo work, and about 50% couples work. And I think that the key is asking your partner for the exact specific support that you need. So like, do you actually need more help with the kids on Saturdays from 1 till 4? And then you just say, would you watch the kids on Saturday from 1 till 4? And miraculously, your man says yes. And I think what happens is that women feel we have to do it all ourselves, or we feel we don't deserve the help because maybe he's bringing in all the money and we've chosen to raise the family as our, as our job. So you stop asking for help, or
You feel guilt too, the
you
mom
feel
guilt.
Or you've become a perfectionist, and if it's not done your way, you don't want it done. And so then it's like, it becomes this weird resistance of help. You got to scratch
And then
all
6 months have gone by and you haven't seen your friends, you haven't left the house,
totally,
you haven't got
and
a
you're
manicure.
resentful, and you're blaming it on him, but you actually haven't asked for help. So it's kind
And
of,
you think you have in your head because
but
maybe
yeah.
one time you sort of did, but really you made a million reasons why you shouldn't ask for the Saturday.
Exactly. So you just kind of think about, okay, what are the areas I need help with? What are the specific requests I can make? And then you say, would you or will you? Not could you or can you? And it's this really simple communication.
Okay.
It's this amazing
Let's do
little
this. I love it.
communication tool. It was by John Gray, the Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And it's a really simple thing. So if you say, can you take out the garbage? It stinks. He's like, well, I can. I'm capable. Why are you coming at me like that?
Right.
In his mind, that's what he thinks.
Right.
So he might do it, but it's not an invitation. Would you take out the garbage for me is an invitation for him to help you. It's like, I get that. I can do that. That'll make her happy.
Right.
And it's a really, really simple
It's so
shift.
subtle and so good.
And it works. After I read that tool, I had no idea how much I was marching around with could you, can you? And I kind of took a day to track. Am I really saying, can you do this? Could you? Couldn't you just? It's blah, 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 blah.
You never, well, that's all the blaming.
Right. And I thought, okay, great. I'm going to try would you and will you. And it worked like a charm. I do it all the time. I get the help I need. And it also, practicing that communication tool in your relationship, you start to practice it with colleagues
everything.
at work.
No, I see.
Your friends, and you start getting what you need. And
Would
it's
you,
just,
will you?
It's so
Instead of
simple.
could you, can you? I think that's
so simple.
It's brilliant.
And it works with, domestic tasks. It also works when you need appreciation and recognition. Would you tell me when you think I've done a great job with the kids? Would you tell me if you like the dinner I cooked for you? It's okay.
Would you tell me that you think I look sexy when
That's
you walk in
right.
the door? If you think it, tell me.
That's
or
right.
Whatever.
And you know what? Some people just need to be prompted. People say, oh, why should I have to ask for that? Well, does it matter if you get it?
Right.
How you get? It's like, it doesn't matter if you have to ask for it.
Exactly. I hear that all the time. You're like, well, no, he should just know. Our partners are not mind readers.
Exactly.
No, they're not going to know.
No.
And it works. And you might have to tell them more than once.
Absolutely. I don't care if I have to tell him every time if I get it, if I get what I need. And I want him to tell me what he needs too. Like, it goes both ways.
And he's learned from you then as well.
Yeah, but my husband, he's like a master communicator. I've learned so much from him. And a lot of that's in the book. Like, I'm just going to give Charlie Myers. I'm giving you the props that you
guys
deserve.
work together.
Yes.
And you built an empire and you've children.
Yeah.
That's amazing to
It's
me.
cool.
Well, let's talk about, you talk a lot about resentments. I know we just sort of touched on that, but how they can be so poisonous. There's actually a quote from your book, from Nelson Mandela.
Yes.
As Nelson Mandela said, resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies.
Yeah, totally.
It's such a good quote. So we walk around, we don't even know what it is.
It's festering. It's
We think
simmering.
we're telling them and we're not. It's killing us.
It's so unhealthy. It's such a terrible feeling, the resentment. And something that Charlie and I do, we actually have like a little resentment check-in, like once a week or once a month, depending on what's going on in our lives, where we just sit down and say, like, I'm feeling that you're resenting me because of this, or I'm feeling resentment towards you because, and it can be stupid stuff.
Right.
But it's the act of airing it out. Yeah. And being heard by the other person. And so then you can just soften it, let it go. You give the other person the opportunity to right the wrong, if there is a wrong there, or just actually work it out and say, look, I resented you, whatever it is, because you're traveling more than I am and I feel stuck at home with the kids.
Yeah, nothing they're doing wrong. I can still resent you, and it's just letting them know.
Yeah.
Right.
And then it gives him the opportunity to say, well, hey, go take a trip. I'll watch the kids. Or to say, I hear you. I can't change it right now, but I hear you. How else can I help you?
Right.
So it's all comes down to communication.
It really does.
And not keeping it inside.
Right. And I think that people think they don't have time for it. And I think you could even schedule in your 15-minute communication on Sunday nights before you have dinner, go
Absolutely.
to bed. Whatever works, because you realize that also, just like scheduling sex, which I've talked about a lot on the show, I used to think that seemed like the worst idea ever.
I love it.
It's another thing on your calendar, like, oh, great, but it's so much, because then you know you're going to get it done.
And you can build anticipation for it.
Yeah.
You can pick out an outfit for it. You can prep yourself. You can take a bath for 15 minutes to transition from a busy day into a more sensual state of being.
We're going to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. I'm going to be back with Dana Myers and the Mommy Mojo Makeover. Okay, I'm back with Dana Myers from the Mommy Mojo Makeover. 28 tools to reclaim yourself and reignite your relationship. So Dana, what I'm excited is, first we're going to get on some Instagram Live right now. Hi, everyone. I'm here with Dana Myers, and we are talking about the Mommy Mojo Makeover. How do you get your sexy back when you become a mom? And even honestly, just as a busy woman who runs a business, who has a life, how do we keep sex top of mind? How do we get turned on for sex? We know that men and women get turned on very differently.
Yes.
And I think for women, it can be challenging because we're like, well, why did I just get turned on when my partner walked in the door? Or I don't think about sex as much. And I love that you have such great tools for women to keep sex top of mind. And to my Instagram peeps, ask me any questions at all. We will answer them. We will help you have better sex today.
It's all happening.
It's all happening.
It's all happening here.
Okay, so how do we
Yeah, okay. So most moms and women, I think, go about their busy days thinking about everything but sex. What errand is next? What do I need to do? Why are my thighs rubbing together? All these racing thoughts. And so I always say, imagine if you put even an iota of the time that you spend thinking about other things, about your kids, about work, about your to-do list, if you put that towards sex, your libido would naturally rise. So the favorite tool that I have from the book is just looking for visual and mental stimulation in your daily life. So the example that I love the most is when I'm at the grocery store, I tend to linger in the produce department, right? The carrots are my favorite vegetable, and I'm sort of staring at them as they're looking all glistening and long and strong, or thick and wide, and they're
some are hairy.
Misted.
That's okay.
Some are a little nubby, And I think it's not that I'm fantasizing about using that carrot as a sex toy,
because you should not do that.
No,
Right.
no. But I'm imagining a long, strong, glistening, penis. Or it's an eggplant, or it's something that looks phallic. And I'm thinking, how can I use this regular aspect of my day-to-day life, but make it more sensual? How can I let that inspire a sensual fantasy? So suddenly I'm thinking about sex with a beautiful, sexy man with this long, strong
carrot between his legs.
And I'm riding the carrot and I'm loving the carrot.
So it triggers you to start thinking about sex when you're at Whole Foods or wherever you're at.
I try to think about sex as much as I can. So it's become this practice that is now just a go-to. It's just natural for me.
You link that up with...
That's right.
Okay.
So I am looking for the sexy in basically anything and everything. So maybe I'm walking down the street and there's a flower shop and I look in the window and there's a beautiful orchid. And flowers really look like
they do.
Female body parts.
They're the vulva, right?
It's gorgeous. And so maybe looking at that flower blooming, I think about my own flower blooming at the touch of a lover. Or if I'm scrolling through Facebook and I see an ex-boyfriend that the sex was great, but the long-term potential was not great. But I allow myself to fantasize about that amazing sex that we had.
Yeah, good for you. Because, Dana is in a healthy marriage, 13-year marriage.
Yeah, long-term commitment.
Long-term, even longer than that. Maybe
we've been together for 15 years.
15 years.
Yeah.
And they work together, they play together. Yeah. And also, it's okay to have fantasies about someone other than your partner.
Yes.
It's all fuel for the same fire, and that is your
That's right.
your erotic energy, your libido.
That's right.
For women, it just doesn't get fueled as easily.
That's
I get
right.
it. Sometimes it does. Early in a relationship, it does, but we all have to work on it.
So I call that looking for
Fondle the
sensual.
kumquats. What are kumquats? Oh, they're those little.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
not a kumquat.
little kumquats.
But they're not really erotic. I just want to say kumquat.
Okay.
Okay.
The name is erotic.
Kumquat. It's a kumquat. Yeah.
So the thing that you only have to remember one simple phrase, and that is sensual inputs, right? The more sensual inputs we see that we can look for in our daily life, at the grocery store, on the street, in a magazine, you see a hot celebrity, fantasize about
Think
it.
about their lips
That's
all over
right.
your body.
Think
That's
about what
healthy.
Their skin feels like under your fingertips. More sensual inputs is going to equal more sensual output. You're going to raise your sexual energy. It's so simple, and you don't have to change anything about your life.
Right.
And
And
you don't have to change a single thing. You just have to shift your mindset to start seeing the sexy that already exists.
I love this.
You just
This
have to
is great.
look for it.
I love the idea about women giving themselves permission that this should be
Yeah.
part of a practice, because the thing is we spend so much time, on our health or what we eat
Yeah.
or, our workout routines or making sure the kids are happy and
Yes.
works great. And sex is just something that we think should just fall into place without effort.
Right.
Effortlessly. We are sexy and into whatever our partner, it's like, there's like life happening. Women, we don't work like that. So
No.
just any tools, fantasy, erotica, all of that.
Just shifting your mindset to integrate sensuality into your daily life. That in itself is, I think.
How else do we integrate sensuality into our daily life? Oh, we could take a question though too.
all right.
Okay, we've got a question. So the question is, what do we mean by affirmations?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think as it relates to body confidence, if you are always, saying negative things about your cellulite or your belly, it's basically just taking that negative self-talk and coming up with something positive. So if you're constantly saying, oh, my ass is so fat, I hate it, it's standing in front of the mirror, putting your hands on your butt and saying, you are beautiful, you are thick, you are juicy, and you are deserving of pleasure.
I'm deserving of pleasure. Like
That's
keep
it.
saying things like that. I'm deserving of pleasure. I'm deserving of ecstasy. I'm
Yeah.
deserving of orgasms aplenty.
All of that.
Yeah.
So you can do affirmations about your body. You can do affirmations about deserving pleasure. I think for many women, just giving yourself permission to embody your sensuality, you can just look in the mirror and say, I am a sensual woman. And that alone is a very powerful
And
affirmation.
looking at yourself.
That's it.
Why is it so hard
simple.
for women, you think, to love ourselves, to appreciate ourselves, and to realize that we deserve all the pleasure in the world? Like it's
'Cause it's
such a
not-
challenge, and it gets harder.
America in general doesn't celebrate sexuality as a normal part of life as maybe some European countries do, so we grow up thinking sex is dirty or it's private. It's so private. I'm not going to talk about this with my friends.
Right.
And then there's like the girls like me and you who were like, hey,
We talk about it to anybody who will listen.
Yes.
Don't you still love it? Where we've
I
both
love
been in
it.
this business for 13
Yeah,
years. And it's like,
I love
however
it.
I can help people wherever I go. Like, yes, ask me any sex question you want. I will tell you how to think about this and how to that masturbation is just for women, especially like make it your practice. Love yourself, love your body, your sensuality. If anyone has any questions on Instagram Live, I'm here with Dana Myers and talking about her book and about resentments and finding pleasure in the everyday. Can we talk about fantasy for a minute about you say like watching porn or reading erotica? Is there anything that you've discovered lately that, I don't know, that's been the kind of a new twist since anything new that...
Well, okay, just like super top line, what comes to mind is that I do love lingerie. And of course, I love expensive lingerie, but I also love really cheap lingerie. Like there's something that's really fun about lingerie that comes on and it's off in 3 minutes, but it's raunchy and sexy. So like a simple tip to heat things up is a fishnet bodysuit, right?
Oh, it's so easy.
It's so
you
easy.
throw it on.
You can rip it off. It
Right.
it feels interesting on the skin. It's very visually exciting. exciting for your partner, and it basically costs nothing.
Right. Like we used to go to these trade shows where they had these right there. I have a drawer full of this stuff.
And it's fun.
It is
It's
fun.
so
I got to
fun.
dig out the fishnets.
Yes. So
oh my God.
fishnet bodysuits are great and really easy. Like if you're saying, you know, I kind of want to spice it up, but I'm not sure how to, or I don't want to go as extreme as any kind of like BDSM stuff, just get a sexy little fishnet bodysuit.
And put on some heels.
That's it.
I love leaving them on during sex.
It's
Some
so
heels,
good.
rip it off.
Yes.
Okay, that's great advice.
Yes.
Yes. Great question. Okay, how do we
here
feel
we
about how much time do you have? Okay, how do we feel about monogamy and polyamory, open relationships? Dana, you go. How do you feel?
Okay, so for me personally, I am super committed to monogamy. I just think that I've got these 2 beautiful children. I've got an amazing husband. We've got this family unit. We're both committed to keeping our sex life really fresh and interesting. And on a personal level, I just don't want to mess with it.
Right.
I feel so blessed and so grateful that going outside for, you know, sexual excitement, it just scares me that I could break the goodness that we've created.
Right.
I'm fascinated by open relationships.
Right.
I'm fascinated by it, but I can't for the life of me figure
For
out
you, it
how
might
it
not
could work.
Right.
For me.
For you.
Yeah.
Right.
What about your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are I've always been sort of, I personally think that monogamy works for so many people. It's the one model that we see. Like we literally have no other options. It's
Right.
like till death do us part.
But I don't think it's natural.
It's not natural.
It's not natural.
And so I think that this is such a great question because I believe that we are in this time now of alternative relationships and you have to practice this rigorous honesty, which I wish a lot of people in monogamous relationships would
Yes,
practice.
right.
And so non-monogamy works for many people and giving yourself permission to define whatever kind of relationship you want, that there are no rules except for being super honest, and that we think the reason why people think they could never do it non-monogamy because like, well, I would be so jealous, or
Right.
you know, people get jealous in monogamous relationships.
Right.
People have challenges in monogamy. So I think that in a non-monogamous relationship, you just talk about it and you're like, wow, that might make me jealous, or I was feeling jealous and this is how I feel about it. And you can kind of transcend the jealousy, but you need to just lay out the rules and talk about it with the partner. And I know couples who, just for example, they've been married for a long time, but every summer their kids are at camp and they take off and they each like do their own thing. Don't ask, don't tell.
It's fascinating.
I know
to
couples
me.
who like they have a third partner that they see, you know, every 2 weeks, or they share a Google Calendar of all the people they sleep with, and they still are
fascinating.
together. So there's a lot of different iterations of it that I think that are available now. I love Tristan Taormino's book called Opening Up. If you're interested in it, hi Tristan, happy birthday! I think it was yesterday. If you're listening to this, I think that there's just a lot of great tools out there and resources, and that this is the time if you're looking at it to kind of venture into that territory. But you got to be a great communicator.
It is a fascinating time because we are seeing so much more openness in telling stories about open relationships and exploring polyamory. I think for me, I couldn't cope if Charlie fell in love with someone else. I just
Right.
couldn't.
Right.
I just love him too much and I love his love so much. I couldn't cope with it personally.
No, I get it, and it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, what I
But-
realize, yeah.
Do I want to have sex with other people? Of course I do. I just fantasize about it. I just
Right.
fantasize about it and then I channel that into the hot sex that we
See,
have.
this is what I love. So when you look at all the cheating and everything, a lot of marriage, I'm so anti-cheating.
Me too.
I'm more pro like open relationship. If you
Yes.
think you want to cheat, I
Yeah.
say
No.
Go
No.
turn it towards your partner. So
No deceit.
So what I love about in Dana's book and what we talk about on the show a lot is that if you're feeling like, but I'm going to have an affair with my coworker just once, it's okay. No, take all that energy you're feeling towards this person that will probably mess up your relationship and turn it towards your partner,
That's
which
right.
is what you
Channel
did.
it. That's right.
Channel it towards your partner. You can bring back that spark. You can bring, and it could go to the next level once you practice
Totally.
communication and fantasy.
It just gets deeper and richer
It
and
gets
better
deeper
and
and better.
hotter. For sure.
It gets so much hotter. I'm telling you, communication and getting hot and saying those things that you think you cannot say makes your relationship so much hotter.
And trying new things. Yeah. Always trying new things.
Always try new things.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God.
Right, I got to repeat
yes.
the question. Okay, awesome.
Want to repeat the question?
Yeah, you can repeat it if you want.
Well, it was about PCOS. Yeah. Okay. So the best
Polycystic ovary syndrome. Do we have any
I have an
solution?
amazing solution.
Okay.
Elisa Vitti, her book Woman Code. It's like a #1 bestseller. She's amazing. Her Instagram, I think, is Flow Living, FLO Living.
Okay.
She is the #1 resource on all things period. She overcame PCOS herself. She now has a baby. She manages everything through nutrition and healthy lifestyle. She's incredible.
And acupuncture and I've heard, okay.
VT.
Elisa VT. Great. We
she's
got that
amazing.
for you.
There you go.
We are just chock full. Okay, guys, I think we're going to sign off. Bye, everyone on Instagram. Thank
Bye.
you. Check out Dana. Bye. Okay, Dana, help me answer some emails here from the listeners. Thanks, everyone, for emailing me. I love hearing from you. You can always email me via the website, clicking on the Ask Emily tab. Email me feedback@sexwithemily.com. Also, please always include your name, your age, where you live, and how you listen to the show. This is from Nicole. She's 25 in Oregon.
Okay. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Nicole. Hey, Emily. I know you've answered questions about mismatched libidos plenty of times, but I feel like I've tried so many tactics and nothing has worked. So I was hoping maybe you'd have a suggestion I haven't thought of. My boyfriend's 29. We've been together for 2 years, and our sex life used to be incredibly hot and frequent. After we moved in together, the frequency dropped drastically, once a week if I'm lucky. We have sex only on his terms, and I get shut down so much. I've talked to him about how I need more physical intimacy and tried every suggestion he's given me to help him get in the mood. Sexy lingerie, sexy photos, initiating foreplay, etc. Nothing has worked for more than a week. He chalks up to stress, but I'm worried it's something more than that. I've suggested therapy and it was immediately turned down. All of this has created a lot of resentment in me, and I wonder if I can spend the rest of my life with this kind of sex life. I love my boyfriend so deeply. I truly believe he's the one for me. The only rockiness is because of the sex issue, and I want us to resolve this issue. I think we won't make it otherwise. Please help Emily. Okay, sweetie, I hear what you're saying here. Dana, I'm glad you're here for this too, because I think there's actually a few things going on here. Sex is so important in your relationship. You're right. If the sex keeps going on this way, I wouldn't be happy either. Okay, let's see. They've been together for 2 years, living together. And the fact that you've suggested all these things and he's not listening, either one, he's really, really stressed, because you know this too. When men are stressed, they're worried about money or a job.
Sex goes
out the window.
That's right. It really does.
Right. And for
and
women,
it's hard to understand that.
It
because
is.
we think, oh, well, men should just want sex all the time.
Yeah. Don't you see what's in front of you?
Right.
This God is here.
But it really does. It does take a hit when men feel very stressed. That's true.
So if that is the case, if he is really stressed, that is a thing. But that also, the fact that therapy was immediately turned down. Because I think this needs some therapy if you guys are really going to make this work. What are your thoughts from reading this? Because I think immediately turned down, I get, because some people don't love therapy and you got to talk them into it. But it seems like he's like, no here.
Well, and her feeling sexually rejected is quite tough, because when you get rejected and you get shut down, then you feel bad for asking.
Right.
You feel lesser. You start to doubt your own attractiveness and desirability. And so this seems kind of like a bit of a difficult one. I just want to look and see. So you say you've talked to him about how you need more physical intimacy and tried every suggestion he's given you to help him get in the mood. So he says, okay, you're saying you need more physical intimacy. And he's saying, well, put lingerie on, do sexy photos. He wants you to initiate. You say you've tried, but nothing works. I'm wondering, you're saying you need more physical intimacy. Does that mean outside of the bedroom? Maybe starting outside of the bedroom and connecting intimately there?
I think you're right. Physical intimacy is huge. Just holding hands, cuddling on the couch.
Maybe practicing some touch without expectation. So I call it a touch point. Maybe every Tuesday night you have a touch point. You sit on the couch together, you play some music, and you just touch without the expectation it's going to go anywhere for either party. Because maybe he's feeling pressure.
Right.
That, you want more sex. He's feeling more pressure. He's feeling it's one more thing he needs to do. Maybe just connecting on the couch and touching and kissing might take the pressure off for you both.
Right.
But if you're wondering whether or not you can spend the rest of your life with this kind of sex life, I think that's a really valid thing to look at.
And the thing that triggered me in here is when you just reread this, Dana, was you're talking all the things that he needs. I want to know what turned you on, sister. Like, I want to know, Nicole, because you might not know. I'm telling you, it could take a life thing. It's a lifetime thing, because we changes what turns us on. So
that's right.
How much time have you spent, Nicole, like figuring out what really turned you on, and the self-love and doing the masturbation, a lot of the techniques that we've talked about on the show and also that are in Dana's book? Because once you become really in touch with your body, you haven't mentioned how much time, like how much pleasure you get out of sex. you might just be exuding this energy we didn't even talk about this, about how when you're like walking around as a turned on woman or as a woman who's getting all your pleasure, you just exude that. He might not be able to help but to want to see that in you. And you might be realizing that you have some needs that need to be met as well.
That's right.
Not just because he wants sexy laundry, it's not working, sexy this. Maybe he's just grabbing at straws because he's so stressed and just naming what he's heard works. And either you go in with what you figured out, or the two of you co-create together.
That's
what
right.
is what's your turn on formula.
That's right. But also, Nicole, you're 25. Is that right?
25.
Okay. So I'm 42. I just want to tell you that at 25, you have a whole life ahead of you, and marriage is a long road. So no matter how much you love him, and if you do want to spend the rest of your life with him, it's decades and 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 decades. And so if sex is really important to you, you need to get honest with yourself about it. And if he cannot rise up and meet you and communicate about your needs and give you what you need, I would say really think about whether or not this is the relationship you want to spend the rest of your life in. You're young.
25.
You're young. You've still got time. If you want to make a break here and look for someone who can really meet your needs on every level, you've got time to do it. So don't be afraid to start again.
Right. Exactly.
Don't be afraid to start
afraid.
again. Don't settle. Don't settle
for, right. Life is too short for bad sex.
Yeah.
And Nicole, I'd say that your sexual needs and your sexual satisfaction is just at, if not more important right now, you working on yourself. And I felt this way too then. I remember breaking up with every person I would end a relationship. You're thinking, is this it?
Yeah.
Is he the one? Is this going to be a mistake? Will I find someone else? And guess what? You do. There's plenty of people out there.
Totally.
And that's great advice, Dana. Thank you very much. Okay, Nicole, keep me posted here. Girl, you're on the right track. I promise. This is from Ed, 31 in Virginia.
Okay.
Dear Emily, a little background. I've been married to my wife for 7 years, and after doing some reading and listening to your podcast, I thought it'd be fun to introduce a toy into our sex lives. Ended up buying a WeVibe Pivot, which is the cock ring.
Okay.
And spilled the beans about it before it arrived, and boy, did it backfire. She's convinced I think something is wrong when it couldn't be further from the truth. How can I recover and get her to my side, or is it a lost cause?
Okay.
Thanks. Oh my God, Ed, 7 years. It's not a lost cause. No.
I've got I want to say something here. Okay. So people say to me, well, I don't want a toy. I don't need a toy. It means something's wrong. And this is what I say every time. Do you need a lip gloss? Do you need it? And people go, well, no, you don't need it, but you like it. It makes you feel good. It's something new. It changes the color. It brings sparkle to your eyes. So do you need a sex toy? No. But can it bring excitement, joy, pleasure, something new to your life? Yeah. So don't look at it as though something is wrong. Just tell her, hey, you don't need lipstick, but you like it.
Right.
We don't need a sex toy, but why not? Let's use it to bring newness and excitement, something we can share together.
Which is why I love the penis ring idea, because couples can use it together.
Yeah, and explore new sensations. Maybe she's just unfamiliar. Maybe she's...
Well, that's the thing. They're not familiar. So she might be like, what? Like, I've never used a toy. You feel that I'm inadequate, that I'm not great in bed. Who knows what's going through her mind?
And what's so interesting, though, is that usually this dynamic is flipped. Usually it's the woman bringing in something and saying, I want to try something new. And it's the man's reaction, typically. I'm just being very stereotypical.
I would say typically we hear that more often than not. But there's sometimes there's usually a miscommunication.
So it's really interesting to see this. I love seeing new things like this.
Yeah.
I would just say, look, you like a cool sports bra. You don't need the one with the fancy straps, but it's kind of cool. It makes you feel good and exciting and different. Well, our sex life is great, but why don't we just continue to explore it? And like you said, what can we co-create here?
Yeah.
What's possible for us?
In every long-term relationship, and even after you guys 6 months could be long-term.
Yeah.
We're going to need a variety. We're going to need something different. Sex will get stale. It will become rote, and you will want to change it up. And I say a little lube, sex toys.
That's right.
Doing some exercise together, like doing some exercise in the book, planning sex. These are all little things to keep your relationship healthier. So it's not a lost cause. You guys can listen to the show together as well. I think a lot of couples, it helps them to listen to it together, to talk talk about your sex life, like if this is the first thing, Edward, I don't know where you're coming from, Ed, in the sense of, was this the first time you have even tried something sexually or to talk about sex with her? Like this might be like, if you guys have been together for 7 years and all of a sudden you're like, a sex toy's coming and she's like, we've never talked about our sex life and you've ordered a sex toy.
Yep.
That's like living in your house. That's what would be a good analogy for that. Like you've been living in your house forever and like one day like the fire engine show up with a truck. You're like, why are you is my house burning? No, we just want to check out. You're like, oh, you're about to take my house down. So it's like, it's startling.
Yes.
So you might have gone from 0 to 60. Yeah. And so she needs to understand that it doesn't mean, oh my God, the house is on fire. It just means like, I want to have us to have some different kind of orgasms.
Yes. I love that perspective. I think it's tool number 9 in the book. It's called Let's Talk About Sex, Baby. And it's sitting down to have this conversation together where you just talk about a couple of different questions. The first,
can you give me some from your book about that?
Okay. So the first question is, what's great about our sex life right now? Okay. The second question is, what could be better? The third question is, how can we co-create a sex life that feels compassionate, inspiring, and exciting, and that's going to last us, for the rest of our lives and decades and decades.
I love it.
And so it's sort of, starting with the positive, right? What's great? What could be better? Not what do we need to fix? What's wrong? But what could be better? That gives you an opportunity to say, I would like to try a new sensation with a toy. And what I love about Ed, is that this pivot is probably designed to give her more pleasure.
Exactly. That's what it is. It's amazing. You wear the pivot during sex. It goes on your penis.
Yeah.
Have you used a cock ring before?
Of course.
They're amazing.
I love them.
Females, the pivot is amazing. And the thing I love about the pivot is you can use it as a clitoral toy. It's a great one. It's multi-purpose. So Ed, you're on the right track. It just sounds like there has to be some of the...
Have a little conversation to explore and to warm her up, to get her take on it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Good one. Okay, Ed, you got this. It's
not
a lost cause.
Go, Ed.
Go, Ed.
You got this, Ed.
This is from Tom, 44, New York. Mm-hmm. Dear Emily, I'm in my mid-40s and happily married. I love the sex that my wife and I have. When we are together, we often talk about adding another man or two.
Oh my God, amazing.
We both really get off on this fantasy. Oh, Tom. Oh, I love Tom. Do you have a brother? Lately, I've been wanting to turn that fantasy into a reality, but I don't think my wife would actually go through with it. Do you have any advice on this topic? Thanks so much for taking the time to read my email. I have a ton of respect for what you do and how well you present your thoughts every time I listen to your show. Oh, thanks, Tom. Well, it's time to help Tom. First of all, I love that you're talking about adding a man. This is also, let's talk about a twist here. This is not your typical threesome email.
Not typical at all.
Usually it's how do we get a woman in?
That's right.
So I love this.
I'm so curious to know more details. What this fantasy is about. Is it he wants to watch his wife being taken by one or two other men? She wants to see him being with other men. Like, I want to know the details about this. There's a lot of
like
juicy scenarios here.
Well, just so you know, we do have a call show. So you guys, I didn't mention this at the top of the show, but when you email me, we do have a box that you can check that says I'd like to be called. And that means we will get into this because this would be an example of a great one.
Good.
So I would say though, if you guys are talking about it in fantasy, it can be really hot to continue to talk about it in fantasy. Maybe watch some, I think porn, like Googling porn that has this scenario makes it more of a reality.
Yes.
Like you're like, oh, that's how it would go down.
Or, okay, so I would want that element of it, but oh, wait, that's where we draw the boundary. I wouldn't want that. And so getting more clear, I would say tiptoe in the tulips on this one. And explore that fantasy by watching porn. And also if you want to take it further, I would do it virtually with, a sex chat professional. Bring them in on Skype. Have a virtual threesome or foursome.
Like bring them in, watching them on Skype.
Bring your computer into the bedroom, and there's all kinds of sex chat professionals.
Cam?
Yep, bring in a cam, exactly.
Cam girl,
cam boy,
cam
guy,
cam boy,
or two. And play out these scenarios virtually before you actually bring someone into your bed. Test out the waters.
Test out the waters. I love it. You do have to test out, you guys, because first of all, Tom, let me just kudos to you because you're way ahead of the curve here in the sense of you're really far along and that you guys are talking about your fantasies, that you're listening to the show, that you're emailing and asking specifically about how to move it along. It's like super healthy, Tom. Like
healthy and open. I love it. Yeah. And that you love the sex that you have and you're happily married. I love this.
I want want to see this in every couple because
Yeah.
I want everyone to take their sex life just as seriously as they do every other aspect.
Yeah.
And that's what your book does
And
too.
there's so much juice in here to just continue fueling that positive cycle of communication, good sex, fantasy, openness. But yeah, tread lightly too. Take it step by step.
Well, right. You guys have time, you've been together. It's like things don't have to happen overnight. It's a process. Sometimes you have to plant the seed and then you think about it. Cause I think also with the toy, like with Ed, like maybe she was like, oh, a toy, but now he's got to like kind of pedal backwards and just be like, this is how it works. This is what it means. And then you build to it. So it doesn't mean it's over.
That's right.
Just sex takes time, especially for couples who have never talked about it.
That's right. Ed, I believe in you. And Tom, you just keep it right up.
Keep going, everyone. I love my listeners. They're awesome. Thank
So
you, everybody.
amazing. Great questions.
Yeah, thank
My
you,
goodness.
Dana. Our time here is done, which makes me
our
sad.
time
You got to
is
come
done.
back.
I would love to.
Everyone, tell how people can find you in your book and everything. All your fabulousness.
Okay. So you can find the Mommy Mojo Makeover on Amazon. Grab a copy there, and you can get into my world at danabmyers.com. It's DANABMYERS.com.
It's all going to be on the show notes too on the
Awesome.
website. Yeah. Thank you for being here. It's so
Thank you
lovely to
so
see you.
much. I
Congrats
love
on all
you
luck.
and your whole
I'm so
team.
inspired. I'm so inspired.
Thank
Okay, you
you.
guys. Thank you to my amazing listeners. Happy Masturbation Month. We can't wait to hear from you. Thank you for listening and for just being amazing. And thanks to my amazing team, Ken, Jenny, volunteer Sarah, producer Jamie, and Michael. Was it good for you? Email me, feedback@sexwithemily.com.